second chapter, 18 through 28, and the sixth chapter, verse 30 through 32, and John 2, 1 through 11. You know, today we'll be talking about controversy, which we see every day. But this controversy is bringing up between celebration, fasting, and feasting. Because here we were talking about mostly the fasting in the first part, which will be, fasting can come from different ways. It can either seeking to be with God or either trying to find the answer. Feasting will be the celebration. You're either with God or with family or friends during certain days. And our lesson, concerning fast and renewal, and the Sabbath. Because some people don't agree with the fasting, and then the other part, people don't go along with it. But in things, the fasting, like I say, you either trying to get with God, either for a happy occasion, where you're trying to get God to come in with you, or either you're in mourning. And there really is no difference. The only difference was they want to do it on a regular basis at a certain time, like Christmas or something. But God didn't disrupt that. He won't go say that fasting was bad at a certain time and other times it was okay. But in this lesson, it shows that even though when they were fasting, they were doing it at normal time, the Pharisees. And then they asked how some of the disciples were not fasting. So that was the question that they threw at Jesus. But every time they throw a question at Jesus, they're trying to trap him. They got some reason for doing it. They want to hurt him. But in this lesson, we'll see exactly what Jesus did and how he did everything and put it to them for them to really boggle their minds. My finger's a little slow this morning, y'all. I get there. There's one thing here that we start in our lesson in Mark. There are several ways. The first outline will be coming from the commentary mostly, and it was a Day of Atonement, abstaining from God for all of Israel without eating. It was a yearly thing that Israel did. Like I said, it was a Day of Atonement. It was the 10th day of the 7th month in late September or early October. Now, this is the day the community had participated through confession, prayer, and fasting. And it's also associated with situations of grief, anxiety, and remorse. As we go through this, we're talking about what they did in starting at our first outline, fasting and feasting in their proper time. Mark, the second chapter, verse 18 and 20. 18 says, and the disciples of John and of the Pharisees used to fast. And they came and said unto them, why do the disciples of John and the Pharisees fast, but the disciples fast not? We see things like that, one person doing this, another person doing something different. We always have questions. And pretty simple questions, seem like, deserved a good answer. But as God went on, Jesus went on there, he told them that, why should they fast? Because during this time they were in Canaan, and they were at a wedding. The bridegroom was already there at the wedding. So if the bridegroom, Jesus. Why are you going to fast and call on Jesus when he's already there? And as you see in these verses, that also that's going to be that you see the first sign of the cross in our scriptures. Because in 19, Jesus said unto them, can the children of the bride chamber fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. They should have no reason to fast because he's already there. But
and another thing, he was telling them that they were fasting because, like you said, during the harvest of the crop.
yeah,
And they had a feast at the same time.
and when we get through with the fasting, then what it goes on to the other part of the lesson about when they were feasting on the Sabbath day. They had a problem with that. But 22, the new and the old, no man also seweth a piece of new cloth on an old garment, else the new piece that filled it up taketh away from the old, and the rent is made worse. I mean, anybody ever try to sew anything, if you try to patch something, you know, we used to patch bicycle tires, inner tube, whatever with glue. When you try to sew a piece of cloth on a hole in your clothes, sooner or later, one of the two is going to rub against each other, and the hole going to be made worse.
But like you said, bicycle tires, you do the inner tube,
Yeah,
so they wouldn't be never be seen. But when you make a patch, everybody can see.
yep, everybody can see that. But the inner tube, like I said, it's on the inside. And verse 22, and no man putteth new wine into old bottles, else the new wine cloth doth burst through the bottles, and the wine is spilled. And the bottles will be marred, and the new wine must be put into new bottles. Now this verse says bottles. They didn't have bottles then. It was like leather. And once you hold something in leather for a long time, it's liquid. When you let it out, that stuff is going to dry. Yeah, you got to put a new one, because you put new wine in that, it's going to run out everywhere. You done lost everything. But also, during that time, like I said, you can't put something new into something old. It's the same thing as our spirits.
That's right.
You can't take an old spirit, put something new in it. All that old stuff got to get gone. And then you can enter all the good stuff that God wants to come in. So, any questions or comments? So, all during this time, when they was at the wedding ceremony and stuff, Jesus was there. And they're talking about working on the Sabbath day. It's coming into that Mary came to him. They didn't have no wine. Jesus wanted to know what it got to do with him. But his mother went back and told the people what to do, how many bottles of jars to get, and whatever they wanted Jesus to do, give it to him and let him do it. So that was also working. But yet they was at a wedding. Our second outline is the question of the Sabbath. And this is an accusation, what they were trying to throw at Jesus. And you know how somebody tried to throw a rock and hide the hand? They were trying to be sneaky about it. And it came to pass that he went through the cornfields on the Sabbath day, and his disciples began, as they went, to pluck ears of corn. Now this thing was a thing of, it's subject to change Jesus and his followers. They're traveling through the land everywhere. They don't have everything to eat when they need it. So this day, everybody was hungry. They went to the cornfield, went to plucking corn, and a little plucking, they were eating it as they went. But yet, the Pharisees didn't see this to be just, because it was working on the Sabbath day. But
that's the Pharisee would try to trick Jesus, and then was the Sabbath, was it Jesus' Sabbath day?
yeah, Just like we talked about the other Sunday. Your ox fall in the ditch, you're going to go get him out. Your car break down side of the road somewhere, you're going to try to get it fixed and get it home. Because Jesus said, you drink wine. If you drink wine, if you have never drunk wine, you drink a little bit, you're going to have a good time. At least you're going to think you are. But it was for them to have a good time at the wedding. And it said, there's nowhere in the Bible that says for you not to drink, that you cannot drink. The Bible says a drunkard is an abomination. We used to have real wine during communion. But we have people that used to have problems. They didn't want to trust that. So now we get regular grape juice. Any other questions, comments? And in 24, it says that, and the Pharisees said unto him, behold, why do they on the Sabbath that which is not lawful? You know, in Jesus' critics and stuff, everybody gonna say something about it because they consider it was one of the laws. The Mosaic law that you shall not work on the Sabbath. But as you go here, the Pharisees jump on what they see, quickly concluding that the law of Moses forbids the disciples' actions. But in their minds, the disciples were working in three ways: harvesting, threshing, and whining. Yeah. But see, all the Pharisees saw was that the law was being broke. They were working. They didn't want no excuse about why they were working. You know, some people going to have something to say regardless of what they do.
But if you're not fasting, on the Sabbath day, you know, everybody don't fast on the Sabbath day. So you're not going to eat.
But see, like the disciples, they were walking from place to place. Yeah, they got hungry. So they had to get them something to eat.
That's right.
Yeah, that was against the law.
Yeah, but you got corn just don't fall off the.
Well, they didn't see that. They just wanted to cause a problem. Yeah. But see, they weren't concerned about the eating part. It's because the law said you're not supposed to be out there plucking corn. You're not supposed to be out there doing anything. That's what they were trying. You know, they were trying to. No. Yeah. But see, you got a person that wants to criticize and contradict everything you do. They're finding a little thing to go against what you're doing.
That's right.
No matter what it is.
To make them look good.
Yeah. But and yeah, sometimes you might find three. But and 25 is accommodation. And he said unto them, have you never read what David did? When he had need and was hungry, he and they that were with him. What did David do?
He plucked the corn.
Yeah. Even he went, a priest, gave him the shewbread out of the temple. And you know, if you did that now, ain't no telling what might happen to you. But even then, he didn't supposed to do that. Said they were eating. You didn't supposed to eat it then. But somebody somewhere will know exactly what you're going through. Because everybody's on God's side some on the other side. The politicians stuff, they were always fighting against each other because of power and wealth. And they didn't want no one else to be above them and tell them what to do.
And most of all, they're always bringing Christianity in it. It don't have to be wealth all the time. A lot of times, they go above and beyond Christianity. They judge you by what you believe.
Yeah, it's all about power.
Yeah.
And 26, how he went into the house of God in the days of Abiathar, the high priest, and did eat the shewbread, which is not lawful to eat, but for the priest, and gave also to them which were with him. See, only the priest supposed to eat that. Well, they went in, got what they wanted. He fed himself. The priest gave it to him, and he fed the ones that were with him. He was looking out for everybody else, not just himself. Any comments or questions? Okay, we go down here, verse 27, which is the account. And he said to him, the Sabbath is made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Yeah, because the Sabbath was when God made the world. That seventh day, he rested. But he didn't say what day the Sabbath day was on. And most of them that were doing the fasting stuff, it was done during a certain time of the year, every year, like on the calendar.
But they did say 6 days.
And the seventh day, he rested.
The seventh day he rested.
But he never named what day that was.
No. Man made a calendar.
Yeah.
God didn't make the calendar.
And this is what, all this he was going through would show that when you fast, it don't go with no calendar and no time schedule that man has. Like I said, you can fast anytime. Morning, when you're suffering for something, you got a loss in the family or something like that. Anytime you're seeking God's face is when you fast. And like I said, the disciples couldn't fast because they was there at a wedding. The bridegroom was there with them. But then when they asked about that, they told them, you know, they fast now. Didn't say whether they were fasting next day or not. But soon, the bridegroom will be taken away. And that's the first time it was stated in here about anything about the cross. Because this will be a violent taking away. And this will be when Jesus was sent to the cross. He will be gone. So then if he's not with them, then they will start back fasting again. So there is no certain day when you have to fast. Any comments, questions?
But when you're fasting, for us as a Christian, we fasting to make us closer to God.
Yeah. That's the whole thing about it. When you're fasting, you're praying, and you're talking to God the whole time. You want his presence. You want his mercy. You want his grace. That's where you fast and pray. Mm-hmm. Don't just fast by itself. You must pray with it. Any other comments, questions? And verse 28, therefore the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. So he done told him he was Lord already. But now he let me know that he's Lord over the Sabbath day too. Everything in this world, he is Lord over. Not man. Nobody can rule what God rules. They might think they can, they might try. But it's going to be a bad mistake. Because Jesus' declaration in his climax of this change, he refers to himself as the Son of Man, a self-designation that occurs more than 80 times across all four Gospels. This designation generally means one who belongs to the category man, as in a human. The book of Ezekiel uses a dozen times to delineate of Ezekiel between man used and mouthpiece of God and God himself. Jesus is Lord of all. But whatever God wants, that's what Jesus is to do. But you don't separate one from the other because human people want to. We don't have no say so.
It was he would say that to his earthly mama. Say, I'm about my father's business. But Joseph didn't say that, but Mary pondered in her heart because Gabriel came to her and told her that she will have a son. And his name would be Jesus. And it's come true.
Yeah, because during this whole time, him and John became almost like one. They were so close together in what they were doing, Jesus' disciples, his disciples. And one disciple won't fast, the other one were. So he had to bring that together to show why and what it all meant. Any other comments or questions? You know, in this verse, it calls it like, one like the Son of Man. This one receives authority from God to rule the world forever, served by all people, nations, and languages. With this title, Jesus claims the authority to apply God's law. That's what he's doing. He's doing what God has sent forth for him to do, right until the time he died. But he was with these disciples until the guy said they're going to remove him. I said it's going to be violent, so you know what led him up to the cross, how he suffered and what he did going there. And this is what they were talking about when they removed him. See, after they didn't have Jesus anymore, then they went to praying and fasting because they were seeking his face again. But as long as he was with them, they had no reason to. They were celebrating. Just like you go to church. Somebody shouting, having a hallelujah, good time. God's with them. But when God is not, there's a sort of a different attitude or character about them and what they do. They might go out in the street, still doing the same thing, trying to help somebody else. But again, they might walk out the door, might be like your friend, Stephanie. You might have to get them straight. But that's the way it is. It's not no certain schedule on either way. It's not our time. It's God's time. Any comments or questions? Centering customers on Christ. Christians around the globe hold different viewpoints for the practices of fasting and Sabbath keeping. The practices reflect tradition, doctrinal conviction, and or personal choice. Today's lesson gives us a reason for this variety. Jesus, unlike the Pharisees, did not present a set rules about fasting or on the Sabbath. So he pointed out to them that his authority and presence, he taught new ways of living in God's kingdom. And we can learn new ways every day we live. If you don't learn something new about things, look at new vehicles. Let it break down. Half of us go out there and look at it, but get on the phone and call a tow truck, somebody come get it. Because everything changed. God don't change. But even though, wherever you go, everybody got something different. Don't mean one is wrong, one is right. But this is what this word's for. This is what the Sunday school lesson is for. To show us what we need to do and what we need to know.
And they said Jesus used what they honor to expose what they had forgotten.
Yeah. You do stuff in tradition for so long, years and years, you know nothing else. You're still doing the same old thing. But you got to learn in the Word. You got to figure out a different way. Because these were two subjects. Just like two different things, but both of them had controversy. About when, how you fast. The other one, do you work, what you do on the Sabbath day. But
it was all that the Pharisee was trying to trick him.
Yeah. from the beginning, they wanted to accuse him of doing something wrong.
And they tried to say he was blaspheming because he said he was the Son of God.
And in the end, he told them the same thing again. He is the Lord of all.
But at the end, on the cross, he said, forgive them for they know not what they do.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing for us today, because sin is relevant.
Yeah.
And that's for you and me to depend and trust in him.
That's it. I mean, we have family people, members or whatever, that we trust, but sometimes those are the worst ones. They'll turn their back on you in a minute.
But you are, if you got a friend and you got a family friend, you have to look among them. You just don't go there and pick the first one.
Oh no.
You look among them and see how their spirit is to connect to you.
Yeah, you got to check them out, see if you can trust them or not. And then even some of those may fool you. You know, some of them good ones might have good intentions, good attitude, do all the right things. When it come down certain things, that little line, that black and white, might not go the same way.
But you still have to look back and remember. Some things I might be forgotten. They remember.
Yeah. I've seen people in their 90s. Matter of fact, me and my wife sat and talked to some the other week, and they were telling me stuff, and I stayed around there with them most of the time too, but they were still schooling me.
Yeah.
So there's always something you can get out of somebody that may benefit you.
All the time.
You just can't turn your head or your back, because if you turn your head or back to someone, somebody's gonna turn their head or back to you. You know, what goes around comes around. Yeah. And you just know, because if they don't, they just keep doing the same thing, and eventually they might be doing that tradition backwards. Mm-hmm. So they need to know everything. And that's the main purpose of coming to Sunday school. Because even some of us deacons and some pastors might tell you, you know, they learn something new sometimes. And it's not impossible to find out something new.
But if, like you said, it brings back to the tradition a lot of time. Like you standing up there, you might bring back the tradition that your grandfather did in this church.
Mm-hmm.
But me, if I wasn't there, I wouldn't know.
And then even some of this has changed since then.
Right.
We don't do it the way we always did it before. It's changed. Sometimes it makes it shorter so we can get to the lesson and go on what we got to do.
But you have to put the spirit in there.
Yeah. If Jesus and God ain't in it, it's not worth a hill of beans. Any other comments or questions? If not, I thank you for your attention, and that's all I got.